So, going to close with talking about the six money problems in most relationship. Then we'll talk about some pointers on how we can help close the gap with communication. So one of the six problems in relationship, money problems, has to do with financial infidelity, right? Pretty much so it's just what you say sexual infidelity, right? So take away the word sexual infidelity and replace it with financial, right? Just talking about that you're cheating on one another, either by doing things behind your spouse, in a way that will affect your spouse negatively. It's not being open to one another financially, right? Maybe you're in debt, and that debt it becomes a financial burden to your spouse, and you're not letting your spouse know, right? Marriage works by being naked to one another, right? Being naked to one another. So when you're doing things behind your spouse and not being open, you're sowing the seed for divorce. You're sowing the seed for a breakdown in your relationship, in your marriage, right? Also, uh, that we're all different, right? Different lifestyles, income, culture, religion, personality. Again, those are issues, but those issues can be resolved by discussing, understanding one another, and agreeing to what will be for the relationship. And when we do that, it should not be a win-lose or a lose-win. It must be a win-win or a no deal, right? Any lose-win or win-lose will not be sustainable. The only thing that will be sustainable is that we have a win-win agreement or there's no deal, right? Because for as long as one person feels cheated, it's just an accident waiting to happen, right? Uh, Providing for children and extended family also, you need to have an agreement on that. With your children, maybe it's easy, but the way it might be a challenge, might be what you're thinking. One person might be thinking, let's just go to an average school now and save the money for higher institution. Another person feels, let's just go to a high class school from the beginning. Those might be different ways of looking at things concerning the children. You need to come to agreement and be realistic, brutally honest with yourself as to what the cloth you have. So you sow according to the material that you have, right? You don't want to follow the Joneses. You don't want to play the followers game, right? Uh, Also, as per debt, right? You need to agree. You don't want one person putting the family into debt, right, at the expense of the other, right? You need to have an agreement. Whatever thing is financial exposure you want to expose yourselves to, right? Especially the we, right? Anything that will affect your relationship, there needs to be an agreement, in going into it. And there needs to be agreement on how you split the finances. What is going to be mine, yours, and ours, right? Not everybody, if you're doing a joint account, it needs to be well thought out and well discussed, right? And nothing is cast in concrete. If it's not working for you, make changes, right? Whenever. Don't be under any obligation that it has to be this way, right? We're not trees. We're human beings. We're thinking beings, right? So we learn. If one way is not working, have a discussion, change it, tweak it, so you get something that works for your family, right? Lastly, power play. Power play pretty much comes when one person is earning much more than the other. Then you start using the money as a weapon. You're only looking for disaster, right? The marriage is going to be sustainable. You don't want to use money as a weapon, right? Let's close with this, just talking about uh, how to talk about money with your other person, right? Number one is take time to understand each other's values, right? You need to take time to understand, first of all, your own self. What are your values? Take time to understand your spouse values, right? Then have a discussion as to what your relationship, your marriage will be built on, right? Be clear about who pays for what, right? Where both of you are earning and you want to share responsibilities. Be clear about who pays for the rent, for the car, whatever. Don't leave it to guess, right? If you leave it to guess, you're sowing seeds of disaster, right? Because assumption is the lowest level of knowledge, right? One person is expecting that person to do it, and the other person is expecting the other person to do it, and nobody does it, right? That's disaster. Talk about it. Be clear about who does what, right? Don't impose on anyone. Remember, we said don't have a win-lose or a lose-win agreement. Let it be a win-win or no deal, right? No deal. Let's get more data. Let's get more information concerning it. But don't do something or have an agreement where one person feels oppressed, right? That's sowing the wrong seed, right? And like we said earlier on, you need to be financially naked, financially honest with one another, right? Like we said, just discuss, share things, whatever needs to be done, just respect the you, the me, and the we. That's critical, right?